Ever leave a party, one where you laughed, told stories, and seemed to have a perfectly normal time, feeling completely emptied out? You can sit in a room full of people who spend years around you and still walk away feeling strangely invisible. Most of us make a quiet assumption when this happens. We think we use the wrong words. We tell ourselves that if we could just articulate our thoughts more clearly or act a bit more carefully, people would finally understand who we are. But that's a misdiagnosis. Your communication didn't fail. In fact, the social interaction succeeded exactly as it was engineered to. You aren't tired from talking. You are exhausted from performing. The fatigue comes from the immense hidden labor of managing everyone else's reactions, adjusting your personality depending on who is standing in front of you, and carrying a version of yourself that no longer feels real. This performance doesn't start by accident. Every human system we enter, beginning in early childhood, relies on predictability to function smoothly. Categorized people are simply easier to manage. We learn the rules through subtle reward and punishment. Smile more. Don't speak too loudly. Be easy to deal with. Over time, these small behaviors harden into a personality built entirely around securing approval and avoiding tension. Eventually, we trade human complexity for a fixed psychological role to secure our place in the hierarchy. You become the funny one, the quiet friend, the sensitive one, or the responsible one. And once a group decides on your identity, every move you make gets filtered through that specific lens. If you try to evolve beyond the character they assigned you, they don't see growth. They see a threat to the social order. We stay trapped in these artificial roles for decades because our minds have internalized a terrifying equation. We've been taught that behaving predictably is the only way to secure belonging, making authenticity feel like a risk to our very survival. The Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung observed that prioritizing this social survival over our own truth causes a fracture in the human mind. The psyche divides into two competing realities. The first half is what Jung called the persona. Think of this as the psychological mask we develop to navigate society. It is the visible, heavily edited self that receives praise and external validation. The second half is the shadow. This is the underground repository where we bury everything that risks rejection: our authentic impulses, our boundaries, our anger, and our unvarnished opinions. But ignoring those suppressed instincts doesn't make them disappear. They accumulate pressure. Years of biting your tongue and softening your edges slowly convert into unexplainable anxiety, sudden flashes of anger toward your loved ones, or a quiet resentment toward life itself. The tragedy of the persona is its trajectory. At first, the mask protects you from the judgment of the world, but the more approval you receive for wearing it, the harder it becomes to take off, until it eventually alienates you from your true self. The isolation deepens when you realize how other people are actually looking at you. Fully understanding another human being requires a massive amount of flexibility, humility, and emotional energy most people simply do not have to spare. To conserve that cognitive load, the human brain relies on aggressive simplification. Your observer's mind takes your entire lived experience and compresses it into a symbol. You are no longer a complex person. You are just difficult, successful, or insecure. Once that label forms, their mind filters all incoming reality through it. If you do something that supports their judgment, they remember it, but they will actively ignore or discard anything that contradicts the role they need you to play. This is why changing people's perception of you feels nearly impossible. The moment you stop over-explaining yourself, they accuse you of being cold. When you finally speak directly, they call you arrogant. When people subtly punish you for changing, they aren't reacting to your actions. They are defending the stability of their internal world. Your newfound freedom acts as an uncomfortable mirror, forcing them to look at the emotional prisons they voluntarily accepted years ago. When we face this resistance, our first instinct is usually to explain ourselves even harder. We think we are just communicating, but constant self-justification is actually a form of unconscious begging. We are begging to exist correctly inside someone else's mind, without distortion. Manipulative dynamics thrive on this exact desperation. Controlling people quickly learn that withholding their understanding gives them leverage. If they keep questioning your intentions and reacting with confusion, they can keep your nervous system trapped in defense mode. Depending on outside validation to feel internally stable makes you inherently fragile. By needing them to see you clearly, you hand them structural control over your reality. The escape route from this cycle is what Jung called individuation, the painful but necessary process of becoming psychologically whole, entirely apart from the expectations of the collective. A person seeking approval constantly scans the room, asking, "Do they like me? Am I accepted here?" But an individuated person redirects their attention inward. They ask a much sharper question: am I betraying myself just to keep these people comfortable? That shift in focus provides a specific kind of leverage: silence. You stop panicking when your intentions are misread. You calmly allow others to construct whatever distorted version of you keeps their emotional world stable, and you simply stop participating in the illusion. You realize that being persistently misunderstood is not a flaw in your communication. It is the natural consequence of authenticity. It is the definitive proof that you have become a person others can no longer psychologically control.